Today we're stepping inside one of Paris' best-kept secrets, the covered passages. There's about 20 of them, and I will show you a curated selection. My name is Walid, I've been working as a licensed guide for the past 10 years, and I'm here to show you the real Paris. Before the French Revolution of 1789, you had France divided into social classes, and one of the most important one was the nobility. The nobles didn't work, didn't pay taxes, and they received an annual rent from the land that they own. And after the revolution, that paradigm will change because we will revoke the status of noble and a new class will emerge, la bourgeoisie. Without the nobility, les bourgeois become the center of society. These people are merchants, traders, doctors, financiers. They work all week and they want to enjoy their time off. So they value differently free time, and it becomes important for them to distinguish themselves from the masses by consuming. It becomes a statement. A man saw an opportunity in this new trend because he was crippled with debt and he thought, I can make money by creating spaces where people can shop. And this is what the Duke of Orleans did. He built these buildings around the garden of Le Palais Royal, and he was thinking of renting the space on the bottom floor to shops and upstairs to apartments. And so this place, covered like this, will have a big impact on passengers because it will inspire them. And this is the next place I'm taking you to le Passage des Panoramas. We are here in one of the first passages of Paris, the Passage des Panoramas, which dates back 1798. After the revolution, about 30% of the real estate in Paris had been confiscated and then later on sold to auctions. Many investors interested by these cheap deals bought the land, and then there was a boom in real estate investment, especially in the first half of the 1800s. These passages were quite easy to build because all you had to do was to take a narrow street or a courtyard and have it covered with a glass ceiling. The most important thing was to make sure that it was reserved for pedestrians and to curate shops in a way that they could be complementary so people could spend as long as possible in here. Typically, you have behind me a theater and right here restaurants. And so the idea is that you go to the theater, but before your session, you will go to the restaurant next door. You have to imagine that back in the day, streets were not paved. So you had dirt, horse manure everywhere. And entering the passages meant to enter a preserved space because they even paid people to scrape dirt off your shoes. And as passages multiplied, there was a competition to have the best technology, the most comfort, and that's what we'll see in our next passage, the passage Jouffroy. The 1800s are also the time of the Industrial Revolution, meaning that we have new techniques, new scientific progress, and the passages which are privately owned see the development of these new characteristics. Underfloor heating is developed in these passages, gas lamps, and later electricity. These technological details are what made all the difference for la bourgeoisie. When they would come here, they would enjoy not only the warmth of the place, but also having light all day. And in addition to that, they wanted the light to come from above us, a zenithal light inspired by the Louvre, and this is why you have such a beautiful glass ceiling. Passages will compete to be the most beautiful, the most interesting, and the most luxurious. So the next passage we'll see is slightly different and is even more luxurious than this one. We are now here in front of la Galerie Vivienne, which was built in 1823. And the Galerie Vivienne is the epitome of luxury because they chose the word gallery to copy museums or Versailles. Galerie, when we talk about it, well, we say la Galerie des Glaces, for instance, the Hall of Mirrors. So they want to show you that it's extra luxurious. It has mosaics on the floor, little designs on the ceiling, such as representation of Hermes, cornucopias, anchors, anything that is related to the antique and to trade. What I also love about these galleries, I'm actually very jealous of it, is that people live inside, and that's why the galleries are closed at night for people's safety and cleanliness. We saw the rapid rise of these galleries and passages and how beautiful and modern they were. However, at the turn of the 1850s, they will soon decline as the city will start to change again, and so will habits. We're in front of Passage Verdeau, which was built in 1847. It's one of the latest passages that was built in this area, because after that, everything will go downhill. Indeed, in 1852, the Baron Haussmann is named at the head of Paris as an urbanist, and he will completely transform the city. He will take more than 20,000 buildings and have them destroyed in order to rebuild more than 40,000 new ones. And so passages went from being the place to go to because they were clean, they were nice, they were modern, to the place that you avoided because they were not as hygienic or as beautiful as they used to be. Today, this passage is not doing so bad because many antique shops have opened, and also because it's in continuity with Passage Jouffroy and Passage des Panoramas. But we will see an example after of a passage that is more isolated and that is not doing so well. As an example, this passage where we are standing right here, Bourgeoisie, was shortened by the Grand Travaux of Haussmann. They cut more than half of it, and so it's no longer really worth the detour, and it has suffered financially from that. After the transformation of the city by Haussmann, many department stores started to appear on the big boulevards because they were easy to find, and in one place you could find everything. And so these passages suffered from that competition, and the Galerie Véro-Dodat, for example, where we are right here, which was built in 1826, did not do as well as the Galerie Vivienne that we previously saw. These passages today can survive thanks to big names, big brands, such as the shop behind me, Christian Louboutin, the famous shoemaker. Some passages, unfortunately, don't have the chance to have these brands, and they're quite empty, quite dead, such as the Passage du Caire, where I'm taking you right now. Follow me. Behind me stands the longest passage in Paris. It's about 360 meters long, and it has this beautiful facade decorated in an Egyptian style in honor of the Napoleonic campaign at the time. Unfortunately, this passage is one of the passages that has suffered the most after les Grands Travaux d'Haussmann, and so it's fairly empty. Let me show you. As you can see around me, most of the businesses are unfortunately closed. And this area that was once thriving with a lot of businesses catering to wholesalers, they were selling fabrics, this whole area of Sentier, well, it has been gentrified, it has changed, but not the passage because it's hidden between the streets, and so now it's completely dead. Okay, since it's quiet around us, let me take the moment to first thank you for watching this video. It's our first video, so if you can support us, like and subscribe, and we'll do even more content about Paris and history. Even though passages are far from their original purpose, they're not meant to all end up like Passage du Caire, quite empty like this. Quite the contrary, some have managed to renew themselves, and that's what we will see in our next segment with le Passage Choiseul and le Passage du Grand-Cerf. So what is left today of these passages? Well, there's only about 20-ish that are remaining scattered throughout the city. And what helped to protect them is that the government created a label saying that they were part of the patrimony. So you are not supposed to change the architecture, nor the design, nor the layout. And now businesses have developed in these galleries, in these passages, and people come especially in these passages to discover them as part of that history. Now, an interesting case for the renewal of these passages is a passage like this one called the passage Brady. It was left completely abandoned after Haussmann because it was cut in multiple parts, and it's the local Indian community that has revived it by opening restaurants, specialty shops, and today we call it Little India. When it's not local communities that help to renew these passages, it's trends and habits that are constantly changing. And so that's what we'll see in our next place, le passage du Grand-Cerf. We are now Passage du Grand-Cerf, which is actually the highest passage we have in Paris. There's about 3 floors under the glass roof. And this type of passage illustrates how now trends are changing again. Passages are having a second wind, and we don't like anymore the department stores that much. What we are looking for are authentic experiences, smaller shops that have character, and these passages are adapting themselves. So for instance, in this one, you have 2 coffee shops, you can do Pilates, you can create your own notebook. And this is what's great about Paris, it's constantly evolving and changing. Passages were built for a Paris that no longer exists. They had to survive the proof of time, and today they are part of the unique landscape that is Paris. Even though we don't build them anymore, we do cherish them. And if you want to learn more about the story of the city, book a tour with us in the description below, and we'll be happy to show you the real Paris.